It's a dishonorable notion, a dishonorable act. Therefore, when you create a document that says, because remember, black folks were not anywhere included in this document other than 3/5 of a human, basically able to be owned by these same rights that we're talking about, their freedom from their oppressive parents and grandparents. The black folks did not, and I had to explain to some black folks yesterday, black folks were not anywhere intended or mentioned or anything in there as any type of citizen, even any type of human being, until the 60s. So until the Civil Rights Amendment, which really did not still mention the black people by name. That's why it's able to be hijacked by Mexican immigrants right now, Cuban immigrants, whatever immigrants now, because black folks thought they had did something by getting included in the Constitution. But because they were trying so hard to please these white people while taking on these white people, they put themselves in a compromising position. And that compromise was that we as black people will not fight for black people specifically to be included in this Constitution. So what whites do is, okay, what we'll do dishonorably, knowing that it can be overturned, it can be, it could be at any point switched around, or a trick can be done. They say anyone who is born in this country, in the newly formed United States, in this country, is a citizen. It didn't say that we have treated black people badly and therefore we are making this correction. Because remember, the whites that did the Constitution and the ones that did the amendment were very specific when it came to the rights of whites. They were very specific when it came to the rights of the state versus the responsibilities of the larger entity, the government. So it's a thing where they could have, if they were trying to honorably correct something that had been done badly or that had been done against a group of people, if they were really trying to do the honorable thing, they would have said black people are now citizens with all rights therein of the United States. But remember, there was never an honorable intent for black people to be looked at or considered equal with whites. There was never an intent for black people in the North or in the South to be free. What the North proposed to Lincoln was a method of still being able to control black people and being able to do it better mentally than it would be done physically. And for those that were belligerent, they would have an excuse to continue physical slavery, but through a more structured system than the plantation that they knew of. It would be through a prison complex where it would be seen as punishment and not just some barbaric act. So even in their structure of the Emancipation Proclamation, when you read it, which many black people complaining and emailing and whatnot, I asked them, have you read it? Well, no, not since I was in school. Well, perhaps you need to read it, because you only need to read the Emancipation Proclamation in order to know, proof positive, that it was written dishonorably. There was no honor even in the way it was written, because you basically have a white president who says, who owns slaves. Then when he was getting pressure from people for him being president and owning these slaves, and it's making them, white folks in the North look bad and white owners against the South, he sold the slaves, but he sold it to an entity that he still had an interest in. So even his selling of slaves to show that he no longer believed in the slave trade was done dishonorably. And so now you have them saying, okay, well, now we need to make this announcement, this proclamation that slavery is illegal. Well, of course, the proclamation was done dishonorably. It says in it that it's not like he's freeing all slaves. He's not freeing indentured servants. He's not freeing anybody in the prison system illegally. He's not freeing anybody except the slaves in the Confederate States that opposed the newly formed United States. So his freeing of Negroes in the southern states was a punishment against Confederate whites that were bucking against the building of a federal government. It was not like he just wanted to end slavery. He didn't even believe in ending slavery. He himself said in a speech that he feared even freeing his slaves for fear of financial ruin without being able to have that free labor in order to get things done. He feared his own financial ruin if he didn't, if he hadn't had to pay someone to do the things that slaves do by force for free. It would be not economical for the crops that come out of it if you have to pay someone to do all of the things that these Negroes were doing by force for free. So, and they literally justified this economic reason why slaves could not just be free. It was not good for the, they even used the same things they use now. It wasn't good for the security of the economy. Therefore, it is not good for the security of the newly formed country. And those are the same arguments that the individual colonies was making. Well, if we free our slaves, then we won't be at an economic advantage anymore. We'll have to pay for somebody to do the stuff that these slaves were making these slaves do for free, and that would be financially ruining to us, or we wouldn't make as much profit, or there would be no real incentive for us even to have crops if we're only making a few cents off of it because we gotta pay somebody. So this was the argument that went on. We can't keep doing it, the slave trade, the way we're doing it, because it looks bad when we travel outside of the country and as grandparents and parents. We can't do the same thing, hanging and all that stuff that we're accusing our children of being, barbaric and doing. So we have to find another way. And so the British, older Britons that had basically taken over the North, they convinced this white president to at least free the slaves in the southern states in order to weaken the economy in the southern states so that the north, so the grandparents and parents, could get the children back under control and back in line with what the parents felt the original mission was in coming here and exterminating the people and taking over the land so that you could expand Britain, expand the territory of whites, which were at the time were trying to conquer all of the land. And that has been the dishonorable intent of whites since the first whites started popping up on the planet, is to exterminate the original people, those that you can use, and those that are not able to be used, get rid of them, exterminate them, and conquer the entire landmass of the planet. And so while blacks, and amazingly, I got, of course, a lot of comments and whatnot from blacks trying to defend whites because, like in the poem, they have given up everything black to integrate with whites and get along with whites. So they are trying to, they're the first Negroes to promote whites as superior. And when you listen to them complain about the history that we're bringing up, you hear a house Negro trying to defend its master by saying that slavery is not that bad. When you hear blacks talk about blacks today, they always blame blacks. They say blacks are the problem. Yet when you hit them with history, okay, well, if blacks began building something black, what would white people do? Well, of course, you have Black Wall Street, different places in history, different things that show that when blacks say, okay, we just want to be free, and begin building something for black generations, for black people, white folks actually get jealous of it and come to do harm. There's nothing honorable about that. If there was any honor in it, they would say, okay, well, we don't want to be with black people don't want to be with us, so let them build their stuff there, we got our stuff here, and that's it. But there's nothing honorable about the things that they do because they want to control the black population. Therefore, they cannot afford or allow the black population to separate from whites because whites are part of their takeover, their conquering of the landmass, is that they need that black enslavement, that black population. So, over this series of explaining to people, black folks, what they should be focusing on as far as restoring honor to America, and blacks will have to face the historical fact that you can only restore honor to this continent by going back to a time when this continent had honor. And they must also face the fact that this continent has not had honor of any kind under this white domination that has occurred. So we will be bringing you more tomorrow and breaking it down further. And anyone who has a comment, you can feel free to email us, and we will be discussing it tomorrow. As always, you can call us during the show. I don't really take calls during the show, but at least you can let us know. Until tomorrow, we will talk to you then. All power to the people.